I'm going to make the most perfect and easiest method for making a turkey sauce slash gravy for your Thanksgiving dinner. And this recipe is enough for 12 people because nobody pours the sauce slash gravy all over their plate. We're starting off with 1 quart of my fresh chicken stock. If you don't know how to make it, look at my recipe. And if you don't want to make your own, it'll work just fine if you buy like collagen, chicken broth, or any liquid type. Liquid. Do not use powdered stuff. We are making very similar to a chicken velouté. That's what you must have first. And you can make this 1 or 2 days prior to eating your delicious turkey. I'm adding to mine not just chicken stock, I'm going to add some white wine, which is optional, but it really does do the trick. And over here I have roux on a very low flame. You can use clarified butter and flour, or shortening and flour, oil, whatever fat that you like to make a roux. Now that's way too much, but I'm just showing you that after you use the right amount for this, what's left over, all you do is put in your freezer for as long as you want. And when you have to make another sauce and you need a roux, take it out, it's ready. So into this boiling chicken stock, I'm going to put a half a cup of white wine. And in just a few minutes the alcohol will be cooked out of it, leaving us the flavor of a nice dry white wine. And don't use any cooking wines. They're horrible. They'll just ruin the sauce slash gravy, which is really not gravy because it's not the natural pan juices. It's a sauce. So this is turkey sauce that we're going to make. So we're going to thicken this as if we were making a chicken velouté, which I have a recipe for, but just a drop thicker. And there's a reason for that. So you have to just go real easy with the amount of roux that you're putting in there. So we'll put the roux, and you can smell that the roux is cooking, or at least I can smell it, but no color. Just, and notice when it's very hot, it kind of bubbles up. So you have to be careful that doesn't bubble over. So you just put a small amount in there, because roux is not like cornstarch. Cornstarch thickens immediately. The roux can take a couple of minutes for it to really thicken. So allow this to simmer for a couple of minutes. And as you see right now, it's a nice thin sauce, but that's not good enough for what we want. And the reason why it has to be a little thicker than the velouté that I make is because you're going to have all of those drippings that come off the roast pan from the turkey. And what you're going to do is, this is assimilation. This is what will happen. When you pour all of the juices from the pan into, like when I use a quart container, it's easy to work with. What will happen is, this is what you get. The bottom here only is that rich, delicious juice from the turkey. And the rest of this on top is fat. So what you do is you pour off the fat or skim off the fat entirely. Then this amount of liquid you will pour into the thickened velouté, and you wind up with something that tastes utterly delicious, very strong turkey flavor, and just a delicious sauce, which guaranteed everybody will be raving about. So we'll have this simmering here for a few minutes. Of course, you don't want it too thick, so it looks like mud on the plate, but it has to have a little body. It has to, when you're done it, the sauce has to coat the spoon, which means when you put the ladle in there and you turn it upside down like that, see how it's coated? Then it's done. That's thick enough. The thing is, you can always add a drop of roux when you're completely finished with making the sauce. And the color of the sauce, the turkey juice will darken it a little bit, but you're really looking for the flavor. Now, if you were putting mirepoix in the pan with the turkey, that'll also help the flavor a lot. And the coloring, because the mirepoix will probably brown. And then if you really want to make another step further, after you take the turkey out of the pan and after you pour all of the liquid that's in the pan and the fat into a container, then you would take this velouté. No, that makes it more difficult. You would take like a cup of water, put the pan on top of the stove, put a cup or 2 cups of water into the pan and scrape it with a whip, and you'll pick up even more flavor. And let that reduce down to like a 1/4 of a cup, and then you can add that to this also. So we have here this sauce, which actually I thickened it up just enough. So now I'm gonna get rid of the fat, pour the natural turkey juice in there, stock, and see how we come out. And why do I use this quart container? It's easier to work. So just tilt it sideways and take a ladle and put it right in there and get all of that oil out. And maybe you'll lose some of the gravy. So now we just pour in the juice and see what kind of color we have and the consistency. Now usually there would be a lot more. So that's only an example. I usually get twice that much. So that would be even darker. If you have a little caramel color, you could put a few drops in there for color. If you have a kitchen bouquet or one of those gravy makers that's a dark liquid, just put a few drops in there only for color, not for flavor. And then you will strain this through a fine mesh strainer like so, a chinois, and there you have it. And then just double boil it and it's ready for your meal. So just to show you, I'm using a little caramel color. We cook a couple of drops in there. It doesn't take much. And this is really tasteless. And you don't want to make it dark because it's not for beef, it's for poultry. So it's you make it a little bit lighter, but a pleasant color. Now I'll be taking this over to my cousin's Thursday, which is 2 days away. She's making the turkey, and I will have at least one of these. The drippings will be up to here. So when I add that to the velouté that we have here, it will be thinner and exactly what I want as far as consistency. That's it.